all my friends have been using dating sites or dating apps on their phones or computers to be finding a potential boyfriend or girlfriend. Personally, I had heard a lot of scary stories about people's experience when it comes to the dating sites like Plenty of Fish or Tinder, especially Tinder. People being either being catfished or robbed or something like that. And I was like, that's nothing I would use. My name is Jason. I'm currently 24 years old, and this happened when I was only 21 years old, so like 3 years ago. And at the time, I had just broken up with my girlfriend after 2 years of relationship. I found out that she had been cheating on her with another guy. I was heartbroken. We had been together for 2 years, and turned out that for the past two last few months are in our 2 years and year relationship, she was cheating with this guy. I was done with it. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. So I broke up with her, and that was the last time I even saw her. And I was decided to be alone for a while since I was in a serious relationship. I was really heartbroken. But after about a few weeks, my best friend Ben and some other close friends decided to tell me that I should stop moaning about myself and to insulate myself from the rest of the outside world. I should start focus on to find someone else to be with. I was like, I'm not ready to be in a serious relationship. But Ben said, you don't have to be necessary to have to be in a serious relationship. It could have been like casual dating. And he actually suggested that I use Tinder. I'm just like, Tinder? And I did mention this to him about this supposed scary stories. And he laughed and all of a sudden, first of all, Jason, that doesn't happen to everyone. Agreed? He had a point, so I decided to try at least. So I made a profile and put out some pictures and a brief bio of myself, and I swapped right or left. But after the first few days, I didn't even have any match whatsoever. And it started hurting my feelings that I was considering myself a good-looking guy. I often at the gym, like a few times in a week, and I was like very feeling hurt my feelings and my self-esteem. But one afternoon, suddenly, this was on a Wednesday, it was like, ding, you were matched. I was like, who could it actually have been matched with? And I'm not kidding you. I was matched with this quite beautiful, gorgeous, blonde, 22-year-old girl, and I'm going only to refer her as Bianca. Bianca was only, like I said, only 1 year older than me, and she was beautiful. Blonde, fit, very skinny, and she was a lot of most guys' dream girl. But I was only thinking that this is way too far to go that she can actually be a real person. I mean, what if she is a catfish? What if she is actually a guy pretending to be this girl? Or maybe it is a girl but she's pretending to be someone else. I mean, I have seen this show Catfish, so I knew that this could be a potential in that as well. But I decided, why not? I tried to do so. We talked for about a few days, and we even talked on the phone, so I knew that this was a girl, at least. Then we decided to meet up for a small meeting or at the local bar nearby. Since it turned out he was also a local like myself, so that was a bonus. So I arrived at this bar maybe at least 5 minutes early. I sat down on the booth and I just waiting. And sure enough, after just maybe 10 minutes later, this beautiful blonde girl showed up. I was actually one to spin. I was hoping that I wasn't going to be stood up, or that this was supposed to be not the same girl. But when I saw her walking in, and she also saw me, and she smiled and was like, Jason? I nodded, and she sat down and we ordered some food and drinks, and we actually had a very pleasant night. Turns out we had a lot of things in common, like the same type of things, the music, movies, and after the first date, as we did officially, we said goodbye to each other, and that same evening she texted me and said that she had a great time and couldn't wait to see our next date. The next day, when I met up with Ben, so he said like, "How did your date go? Was it catfished?" I was like, "No," and I showed the phone with her, "Dude, were clearly catfished by that." And I showed the next phone another picture, me with her. His jaw was like, "Are you kidding me?" kind of look. I was like, "Yep." And he was like proud of me that actually could potentially find someone. And we started hanging out a bit some time more and more. We actually went on several dates. But we didn't make it official maybe after like 2 months of dating. And I was like, I really hit the home run on this one. She was beautiful. She was an amazing cook, and she had this great sense of humor. I was like, I really had hit the nail on this one. I could actually imagine myself, me and her getting married, have a big family together, and well, at least if she wanted that. After 6 months of dating, she actually moved into my apartment, and I was very excited. But things started to change eventually about this. It was like almost like dramatically changed overnight. It were a lot of changes in her mood or some of her answers or personality. I was like, I always took care of her if she needed help with something. I always cooked food for her. I always prepared breakfast in the morning. I was always happy to have her to be around. But sometimes when I asked her how her day was has been, and she was like, it was okay, a lot of customers. She was actually working at the local McDonald's. And to be honest, I wasn't really much myself. I was working at like a local grocery store, which was a decent, well-paid job. So, but one day when I had a day off, I decided why not to go to see her and surprise her during the week, during the day of her shift. So I went to her workplace, and some of her coworkers knew me, and I asked if she was on a break or something. They said that she wasn't in today. She actually, but how that's possible? I thought myself. I saw her leaving for work this morning, and her coworker said that she wasn't in today. Perhaps maybe that she wasn't going off. Maybe she had a day off but just forgot to mention it. And perhaps that she just went off with some other friends. So when I left the McDonald's, I texted her just asking how she has been, and took maybe 10 minutes before I got an answer. It's like, yeah, I just out with a friend today. Okay, so I didn't mind. So I went home, just watched some TV, and when she did come home, I just asked how she had with a friend, and she's like, it was okay, just talking mostly. And I didn't know exactly if I would be worried or something. But it happens another time, maybe only a few weeks later, when I actually went to her workplace. Again, I asked if she was in, but she wasn't in that day. This time I asked the manager if she had a day off, but the manager said that she wasn't. Well, she had called her sick in today. I was like, that's odd. She left the apartment early in the morning as she normally do whenever she went to work. So I asked the manager, if has it been this repeatedly often? And the manager actually said that Bianca left sometimes didn't show up to work for maybe sometimes 2 days in a week, like Monday and Fridays. I was like, I then asked, does it happen every single week? He actually nodded and said yes. I asked if that was any problem with that, and he said that was nothing much a problem since she had been working there ever since she quit when she finished high school. And he asked me if I was something that is wrong. I said no. I just she never told me about it. Oh, so I went home, but I was curious of thinking. I asked myself if I even should bring this up to her or not. But eventually, I did. But it wasn't like a week later when I actually talked to her about this over dinner. It's like because one Friday when I was supposed one Monday when I was going to be there for I had day off on Mondays. So I was going to order to ask if she wanted maybe to have a quick lunch or something. She flipped out of me. How dare I even go to her work without telling her? I was like, whoa, Bianca. I was only saying I didn't know you did had a day off. You didn't mention it to me. Or at least that you had day off times 2 times in a week. I wasn't aware of that. She then demanded to know how I even found out. While I asked your manager, she was angry at us. I was like, this is a whole new side of her. But I tried to calm her down, but it didn't work. She started accusing me from being spying on her. I was like, first, Bianca, I didn't even know about this until like a few weeks ago. I tried to explain that I went to her work the first time. I was going to ask her if she wanted to go out for just a quick lunch. She wasn't even there. And I did mention that she left the apartment early in the morning when she goes to work around the same time, but she wasn't at work. And I felt like when I asked her where she were at the time, the day she said that she was with a friend. And somehow she calmed down. She explains, I should probably told you about this, that I had 2 days off after the week. I was like, yeah, but I'm not angry towards you. I mean, since I told you I had day off on Mondays. I thought it was only a nice gesture that I would go see you at work and we can have just a quick lunch together before you go back to work. And she actually smiled and said that was a nice idea. But sadly, she didn't tell me. She was sorry that she didn't even tell me. So I forgot about it and forget her. I forgave her and we moved on. But suddenly, one day, when she was in the shower, I was just suddenly her phone was on the living room table. I was buzzing, and I could saw there was a text message from a guy. Maybe it was a friend of hers. I mean, she had a lot of guy friends, but it was like, I can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Babe? That is unusual to call some of your friends so. But when I looked through this on the message backwards, it said something like, you and I had a great night tonight, last night. And I started seeing some signs of cheating behavior. But I actually moved up this to the current message and pretended I didn't see it. She found her phone and she asked if anyone had called her. I said no, I haven't even seen anything. So I even saw another message that said, supposed to meet me at this address. I remember the address and I decided to go there with Ben as a backup if something would go completely wrong. That same afternoon, me and Ben went to this place in his car. I mean, I didn't have a car at the time, but now I have it, but it's not irrelevant. It's just irrelevant. We saw this restaurant, and we saw Bianca with a guy at the table, and Ben took a photo, and I did the same thing, and we drove home. I was stunned. I was sitting in the kitchen table when she came home. I asked her if she had a good time. She was a little confused. What do you mean? With the dinner with this guy? She tried to deny that she wasn't, but then I hold up her phone. She first got pale, big eyes, and then started screaming that I was spying. I said to her that I saw her phone with the text messages on the phone. I demanded to know what, or at least to know who that guy were. If it's a friend of hers, I told her, if that's a friend of yours that you are seeing for dinner or a lunch, I can completely accept it. I'm not jealous of that you're seeing other guys. But then she freaked out and told me that, and then she told the reason. She told me I was too soft. I was have no backbone. I was not the man type that she was looking for, and she was only using me for as I could see this guy. He was clearly a man. I was still a mama's boy. I didn't wasn't happy. So I told her, all right, and then I didn't say much anymore. And the next day, when she did return from work, her key didn't even work, and she found her things outside the door. She demanded to know why her things, her clothes, and some of her personal items, and why the key doesn't work. I told her, we are done. I don't want to have you back here ever again. And the reason why I changed the locks is because we are done and you are moving out. Thanks for at least one thing is when she did move in, and thanks to Ben convinced me so that I was the only one who had the name on the lease, not her. Because he said if there wouldn't work out and that she doesn't leave, eviction could take months and could cost a lot of money. So I'm glad I listened to his advice on that. She was furious. She banged and stamped, banged, slammed the door, said, demanded to get in because this is her place now. But that she lives here. But I said, no, you don't. I packed your things for you. Take them and go. I don't want to see you ever again. And she stood that before saying some colorful words and just left. I immediately called Ben, and he was dumbfounded, like, what? Seriously, dude? Yep, she did that, and she admitted what she did. And he was sorry to hear that to me. Wow, dude, I cannot even imagine, he said. Well, I mean, I was probably blinded of happiness, of joy, of love. It sucks that it's been happening, dude, but at least that she's gone now. Yeah. But boy, were we both wrong in that. But shortly afterwards, maybe a few weeks after this, I actually started asking. I actually asked a coworker. Her name was Laura. She was around the same age as me, and we actually have been working for the same grocery store for the past 2 years. And I was like, why not? She's cute, and we had a lot of things in common, and I asked her, and she said yes. And we started dating, and after maybe a month or two, we actually were official. But I didn't want to regret the same pattern to allow her to move in so fast soon. And she had totally understand because I told her about Bianca. And she was like very devastated to hear that happened. But after almost a year, when had just turned 22 years old, I actually had let Laura to move in. And we had a great time. She was the complete opposite from Bianca. She never actually had any change of personality. Sure, we did have some argues, but that's normal. But the things actually started to change. Because one day when I was at work and she had a day off, she heard a knock on the door, and she said that there was this guy outdoor, and this guy said, "Hey, is this Bianca's place?" "No, there's no Bianca lives here," Laura said. "Huh, I suppose I'm meeting her at this place." And then, "What do you mean?" I was matched with her on Tinder, and she said that was her apartment. She showed me, this guy was actually in his probably early 30s. And he was actually showing Laura on the phone at his address. That's not what she's supposed to be saying, though. That's not. She doesn't live here. He was actually apologetic about it and he said sorry and then left. But she told me about this, like, that's odd. Maybe that she forgot that she had Tinder. Maybe. But this same thing actually repeated almost a few more times. Different guys, sometimes in their 20s and they're in their 30s, and one was actually in his 40s. But one was actually happening when I was home with Laura. We was just watching some TV with this bang on the door or listen loud knock. When I opened, excuse me, is this the apartment of Bianca? I was like, again, this is like the fourth time. And I was like, no, there is no Laura. Bianca lives here. And he saw Laura sitting on the table. Well, that must be Bianca. No, that's my girlfriend. And Bianca hasn't been living here for over a year. Please leave. But then he's like, I was promised a date. So let me in or I will do something that you will regret. But I told him, dude, this is my apartment and Bianca doesn't live here. Before I could say anything else, he was like almost trying to punch me. But then I said, wait. And he stopped. How did you even found this place otherwise? I just figure out. If you really want to see Bianca, he actually calmed down a little bit and he showed me his phone. Laura walked up to me behind me and saw the address. Well, that is my address. But then it clicked. I think I know what she's doing. And this guy looks curious. And he asked, what? Almost angrily. I think she actually had no intention to meeting you or the other guys who has been there. She posted this address supposed to be her home address, but knowing that she would not even see you because she has a boyfriend already. And I actually showed her, this guy, the photo of Bianca and her current boyfriend. A guy was in his early 30s. He was furious, but he apologized about this misunderstanding. And I said, dude, we are both playing on this one. And since he left, I actually called Bianca and was like, Bianca, I have this fourth guy showed at my place. Why are you doing this? And she laughed and said, trying to pretend that she never even knew. I even showed him a picture of you and your current boyfriend. Then she flipped. How dare you to do that? You have no right. And I told her calmly, well, you don't have the right to send strange guys to my apartment saying that you live here. And then she's called me some of the bad words again. And it's like, well, dear Bianca, you will have some visit soon anyways. She was assuming the guy, but I said, I didn't say exactly because I hang up and I actually was hesitating to do this. But thanks to Laura, we actually went to the police station and it reported this behavior. Unfortunately, it wasn't much they could done, but they went over to her apartment and have a serious conversation with her. After that, all things stopped. Bianca blocked me and she refused to even have anything to do with this. And I just say, glad for that. And me and Laura are still together even to this day. Thank you.